Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that sent an absolute shockwave through the global tech industry. And I mean, it happened practically overnight. And it all starts with this one number, a big one, $100,000. So, what is this number? Well, believe it or not, that is the new annual price tag for a single U.S. work visa. The question is, how on earth did this happen? And what does it mean for, well, everyone? Let's get into it.
All right, first things first, we've got to understand the policy itself. You can think of this as the epicenter of the whole earthquake.
So, you've probably heard of the H-1B visa, right? For decades, this has been the main way U.S. companies, especially in tech, bring in high-skilled talent from around the world. We're talking engineers, IT specialists, the whole nine yards.
And here is where it gets absolutely wild. Just look at the difference here. We are not talking about a minor fee increase. No, we are talking about going from maybe a few $1,000s in administrative fees to a mandatory six-figure $100,000 fee every single year for every single worker. The scale of this is just staggering.
So why the sudden massive change? Well, the official line from the administration was that the system was being abused, that companies were using it to hire cheaper foreign labor instead of Americans. The idea, they said, was to protect American jobs. Basically, either hire someone here at home or be prepared to pay a huge premium to sponsor only, and I'm quoting here, the top people.
So that's the policy. Now, let's talk about the immediate aftermath, the chaos, and the very real human impact this announcement had.
You can bet the legal community was not happy. They reacted immediately, and they were harsh. This quote from one immigration attorney really says it all. This rule is abominable. They saw it as this pay-to-play system that completely changed immigration overnight, all without going through Congress.
And this is where the sheer panic set in. Look at this timeline. The policy was announced on September 20th. The deadline? Midnight, the very next day, less than 24 hours. So if you were an H-1B visa holder traveling abroad, you had to get on a plane and be back on U.S. soil by midnight, or your company would suddenly owe $100,000, just like that.
So you can just imagine the scene, right? The biggest tech companies in the world, we're talking Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, they went into full-on crisis mode. Emergency memos started flying. If you were abroad, the message was simple: get back to the U.S. now. And if you were in the U.S., cancel all your international travel. Stay put for the foreseeable future. It was absolute chaos.
And it's really important to remember, this wasn't just about dollars and cents or company logistics. This had a very real, very human cost. The Indian government actually spoke out, raising serious concerns about the humanitarian side of this. Families being suddenly separated, people having to make impossible choices in just a few hours.
Okay, so that's the human side, the immediate panic. Now let's zoom out a bit and look at the business side of things, the economic ripple effect that this sent across the entire global tech world.
And to really get why this was such a big deal, you have to look at this chart. It tells a huge part of the story. Almost 3/4, 71% of all H-1B visa holders are from India. So a policy like this doesn't just affect everyone equally. It hits Indian professionals and the huge Indian IT industry way, way harder than anyone else.
And the financial numbers here are just mind-boggling. Let's just do some quick math. If companies used all 85,000 new H-1B visas available each year, that's an $8.5 billion price tag annually. For the Indian IT sector specifically, which is a huge part of their economy, analysts are saying this could wipe out 6 to 7% of their profit margins. That's not a small hit. That's a massive blow. But, this kind of shock isn't just a one-time cost. It triggers something much bigger, much more long-term. We're talking about a global reshuffling of talent. Think about it. If the U.S. suddenly becomes incredibly expensive and difficult to get into, where do all those brilliant engineers and developers go? Well, other countries are basically rolling out the red carpet. Places like Canada, the UK, Australia, parts of Europe, they're more than happy to attract that top-tier talent that used to have their sights set only on Silicon Valley. And this sets up this really interesting dynamic, right? A tale of two brains, you could say. On one hand, you have the U.S., which now faces a potential brain drain. It risks losing that magnetic pull it's always had for the world's best and brightest. But on the other side, for a country like India, it's a potential brain gain. It's a massive opportunity to bring their own top talent back home and use them to build up their own domestic tech industry.
So where does all this leave us? What does the future look like? Well, We're really looking at a totally new tech landscape, a fundamental transformation of how the global industry works.
And companies, they're not just going to sit back and pay billions of dollars. They adapt. They're changing their entire playbook. So what does that look like? Well, first, they're definitely hiring more locally in the US. But at the same time, they're increasing the amount of high-level work they send overseas. They're diversifying where their teams are located. And in a huge shift, they're even moving core R&D and innovation hubs back to places like India.
So let's just sum up the long-term impact here, because it's a big deal. For the US tech industry, it means higher costs and a very real risk that innovation slows down. For the Indian IT sector, it means more work is coming their way through offshoring and a chance to bring talent home. And for the rest of the world, it's a total redistribution of talent, with the US potentially losing its spot as the undisputed leader in tech.
So, we come back to the big question. The stated goal of this whole policy was to protect American jobs. But what will its real legacy be? Was it a successful protectionist move, or was it the catalyst, the one event that permanently kicked off the decentralization of global innovation, ending an era of American dominance? That is the multi-billion-dollar question, and you can be sure the entire world is watching to see how it plays out.